So this information is on acid base, and it's being added to our field trip stuff on Greenbrier limestone. Because limestone acts as a base, this is kind of an important part of the story of the Greenbrier limestone. So water can be represented like this. And that's a chemical formula. Or it can be represented like this. And this is a structural formula where the lines represent covalent bonds. Anytime you have a sample of water, a very tiny bit of it will break into separate ions. So an ion is an atom that has gained or lost an electron and then has a charge. So a hydrogen ion has a positive charge, and the hydroxyl ion, the OH negative, has a negative charge. Now this can be shown as a reversible reaction. Most of the water is like this, but a really tiny part of it is like this. And the tiny part is this much. A liter of water, that's about the size of a quart, a quart of water with pH 7 has 0.0000, I've lost count there, 1008 grams of hydrogen. The mass of a liter of water is 1,000 grams. So it's a small amount of water that is split into parts. And the only reason I know exactly how much it is, how much hydrogen there would be, is because we figured out in chemistry a couple years ago. But the most important part is a tiny bit is split into separate ions. If you show this with the structural formula, it looks like this, kind of the same thing. Most of the water looks like this, but a really tiny small amount is the hydrogen with a positive and a hydroxyl ion. So the electron that was with this hydrogen goes with this. So this has an extra electron which gives it a negative charge. If you look at a pH scale goes from generally from 1 to 14, and exactly neutral is in the middle. So at this point, the H pluses are exactly equal to the hydroxyl ions. And that's real important for living things, because if you get too far away from that, living things die. And this is true for human bloodstream. So the pH gets too far away from 7 in the human blood, the person dies. If the environment gets too far away from 7 in a stream or a field, the grass, the fish, the whatever dies. For each change of a pH unit, so if we go from 7 to 6, this has 10 times as many H pluses. So this scale is logarithmic, which means for every one scale change, it's actually 10 times as much hydrogen ions. So this is more acidic. This is more basic. As you go this direction, the H pluses increase. As you go this direction, the hydroxyl ions increase. If you do a lab looking at the pHs of some different materials. And we did this in chemistry. So we took the pHs of some things with a pH meter that looks like this. So a pH meter, you have an electrode on the end, and you put that in the solution, and then it gives you a digital readout on the scale. So tomato juice is about a 4.52. Right here. Vinegar is about a 2.59. So it's very acidic. Vinegar is acidic enough to where most things can't live in it. That's why it's used to preserve food, because it will kill bacteria. Limestone solution is about a 9.62. So it's more basic. That would be some limestone sand in water. We would maybe think that water, rain, would be neutral, but it's not. And the reason for that is carbon dioxide in the air combines with water to form carbonic acid. And carbonic acid looks like this. And these two errors here that go both ways show that this stuff continues to break down, or can go either way. So carbonic acid can break apart into this, or it can go on to this. Because this adds H plus to the solution, if you have rain falling, normal rain is acidic and has been acidic for millions of years. Now, as we add more carbon dioxide to the air, the rain becomes a little bit more acidic. But whenever we talk about acid rain, it's not because of carbon dioxide. It's because of sulfur compounds, primarily from burning coal that have been added. And those form sulfuric acid and other acids that have made rain even more acidic. This is some lab data we did a couple years ago in anatomy phys. Now I strike that in chemistry. So we started off with distilled water, and we had a student breathing out through a straw into the water. So you'll notice that the water's starting out at 5.9. But the longer they breathe through it, it gets lower and lower. Now at some point it kind of levels off, and it's called reaching equilibrium. The control group, which was just another beaker sitting there, stayed pretty much the same at about 5.90. Limestone, when combined with an acid, and this is kind of the reaction we looked at outside a little bit ago. The calcium carbonate in limestone, the CaCO3, will combine with an acid. So acetic acid is the acid in vinegar, and this H plus can go into solution, and that's what makes it an acid. So limestone combines with acetic acid to make carbon dioxide and water, and we watched that bubble off, and then the calcium acetate was left in solution. So this is kind of important for a couple reasons. One, the reason that we have so many sinkholes and so many caves in limestone country is because rain, just normal rain, is acidic. So it combines with the limestone, the calcium carbonate, and eats holes in it. Another reason that's important is because farmers add broken up limestone sand, to the soil to counteract the effects of acid in their soil.